All right, everybody, welcome back for another cast. This is your casting host, Beef. Joining me once again is Snow. How are you doing, Shay?
Doing good, Kyle. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well. I've gone ahead and I think I screwed up the timer.
I have some technical difficulties on my end. I'm at 10 seconds. Does that square up with you?
You know what? I'm going to pause for about 4 seconds, let you catch up.
Okay.
There we go. I'm at 20.
Okay, good. I think we're more or less on the same page now.
All right, sorry about that. I had a little bit of technical difficulties. So once again, welcome back. I'm going to be casting this game. This is actually a game that one of my viewers sent in for me. And his name is Angry Bubble. Big shout out to Bubble, one of my big fans. Play some Battlefield 3 with him a lot. And he sent in this replay. He is our Zerg player over here in the bottom left-hand corner. Goes by the name of Raxor.
And he is facing up against MilkyWay, the red Protoss, spawning at the top right of the map.
Yeah, cool. So this is about a gold level match here on Cloud Kingdom. Going to be a ladder match. And one of the things that we noticed right off the bat is that Bubble, our hero Zerg, actually went for a 6 pool. So it looks like we're going to be going for some pretty exciting cheese here. We'll see if Bubble manages to pull this off.
6 pool Protoss, it can certainly work, especially if he's not quick about putting a wall up.
Yeah, most certainly, especially since the meta game for Protoss right now is actually going to be Forge Fast Expand. You already see this pylon over here on the low ground, but the probe actually does get in there and scouts the 6 pool right as the Zerglings are created, and we'll see how the Protoss is actually going to respond to this. First thing
we do have Lings coming out in about 3 seconds, and it is very difficult for me to see him getting a wall up in that time. And he does not have a pylon on that high ground.
Yeah, he's dropped the Forge, so he is going to be able to start cannon construction here in about 40 seconds. But with those Lings coming out right now, I mean, the Protoss does spot the Lings, but what is he going to do to respond?
And the Forge is just kind of, and is building that pylon back by the main, which is smart, so he can at least get a cannon up there as well, but it's going to be a little bit of a race against time.
Yeah, it looks like the Protoss is actually doing something that's pretty advisable. He's going to be able to get the cannon up in the main base, like you said, before the pylon or the Forge go down at the natural, but those 2 buildings are going to be forfeit once the Zerg checks out the main and sees that indeed there's no way he's going to be able to break into that main.
Yeah, and Raxor could say hi. I'll take your 250 minerals.
Yeah, definitely. Not a bad way to go about this. The Protoss even going to pull all of his probes here, trying to make sure that the Lings aren't going to get this pylon down, but the Lings are actually doing relatively good damage.
Oh, bit of an Arctosis pylon situation.
Yeah, that unnamed caster pylon right there. Really going to do some damage, and the Lings are going to be able to get back in there for a little bit more economic harassment. Not exactly killing any probes at this point, but they are going to be keeping the probes off of the minerals. Indirect economic damage, something definitely you want to do, but nice job with the mineral walking from the Protoss here, and it looks like the Zerg is going to pull off at this point and start droning up back at home and take out this Forge and just say, hey, I forced cannons in your mineral line. That's going to screw up your mining a lot.
They're in a very awkward position.
Yeah.
As far as see those probes going all over the place to get around that.
Definitely.
And that one patch is almost being ignored.
But let's take a look at the worker count here. We have 11 drones back home for the Zerg versus 17 probes here for the Protoss. But the Zerg does actually have a standing army, where the Protoss does not. Running by those 2 cannons, loses
They're actually getting into a little bit of trouble there in the back of the base. Picked off about 3.5 Lings there.
Yeah. Not ideal. Not ideal for sure. And so our Zerg back home has dropped a gas, sending 2 drones into it right now, and a third. And we'll see what he's going to use that gas for, whether he's going to be getting something like quick lair tech, or whether he might be getting speed and banelings. Some errors in base layout here from the Protoss. He really does want to keep his base relatively consolidated with those cannons to try to protect from any kind of Ling run bys, but dropping a pylon directly between his Nexus and his second untaken gas, that's really going to pay, that's going to hurt when he tries to go get mining from that gas.
He's kind of the king of obstructions here.
Yeah, for
He's
sure.
got them in his mineral line, he's got them in his gas line.
But hey, there's absolutely no way Lings are going to get into that mineral line and do some damage.
It's true. And he's got 2 zealots out now sitting at the ramp. Still not, surprising that he would choose to cluster the base as much like that when he could have just walled this ramp here.
Certainly. And so the Zerg back home taking an expansion behind that, all the way up to 60 gas right now after starting Ling speed. Going to be injecting with that queen, and it looks like we're going to go into a relatively standard game from here on out. A little bit of a questionable decision to be making some Zerglings. Pumped out 6 Zerglings there when he's not saturated on his bases at home with drones, when those Zerglings aren't really going to be able to do anything. Something that you really don't want to do as Zerg is pump army units when you're not going to be using them. The general philosophy is that you're going to be pumping drones as much as possible until you see an army or something that you need to stop. Unless you're going to be going for an attack, and I really just don't see the Zerg attacking at this point.
Something 2.0, though, to Raxor's credit, he's done a really good job of keeping Lings at both Zelnaga Watchtowers the whole game.
Definitely. And so it looks like our Zerg is going to be pressing up this ramp right here. Let's go ahead and watch. He sees those Zealots, and
doesn't lose a Ling. That's good, and he knows to pull back. And
certainly.
Not an engagement that's going to go favorably for a Zerg.
Yeah, with a sentry being built in the back behind that, there's absolutely no way those Lings are going to sneak in. Even if
we
they
see a Stargate going down in the Protoss base.
Okay, now something that I do want to point out is that Stargate is close enough to the front ramp that if the Ling gets to the top of that ramp, a Ling will see that Stargate. So we're going to have to see the Protoss doing a really good job of defending that, as Ling speed just kicked in right now. So if those Lings tried to make a mad dash up there, one of them might be able to squeeze in. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
He's actually warping in an Overseer right now. Perhaps maybe a little worried about DTs.
Yeah, not a bad idea, actually. When you
he's got double Evo Chamber going down, Rotorn going down, and spining up the natural.
Yeah, certainly. As a 2-base Zerg against a 1-base Protoss opponent that you've been able to contain like this, you really have to think to yourself, hey, what? I'll see those Zerglings trying to get up there, and they did actually manage to spot that Stargate. Like I said, that placement actually not going to be benefiting the Protoss.
He traded a couple Lings for that information, plus blew a shield off the sentry, so not a bad trade by any stretch.
Certainly, and as soon as he got that information, you see a couple of Spore Crawlers going down in the mineral line at the main, and a couple going down at the mineral line at the natural. Great response from our Zerg player. Once again, not the best placement on those, as they are going to be obstructing some mining, but we'll see how it goes. I'd love to see a few more drones. I know that he just dropped 6 drones into the static defenses, but the drone count is really quite low from our Zerg player, only 21 total, and out of those 21 we actually do see 4 in gas, so we've only got 17 mining minerals at this point. That's not enough.
So we now have 4 gates down, Forge finishing, first Void Rays out, another one on the way, and still not even flirting with an expansion on red side of the map here.
So we did see a Spire going down, which is a little bit odd, because we've got +1 range upgrade going in at the Evolution Chamber, so you might be expecting Roach or Hydra. I suppose that could be for Infested Terrans as well, but to go into a Spire from that, a little bit odd. So we'll see how this reacts. With those Void Rays being pumped out, it doesn't look like they're going to be used in any harassment. They're just going to move out with the army. Excuse me.
Well, we have a Protoss moving out here with his Zealot Sentry, and splitting off on the main army are the Void Rays.
Yeah, we do have 4 gates functional back at home, with a 5th being made. The Zerglings might actually try to do a run by right now. They're in a very good position to do so. There's nothing defending this ramp. And the Sentry being warped in, but it's just a little bit too late. The Zerglings are going to be able to pick that up. 1 force field does go off, traps 1 Ling, but the Lings are going to try to make it into the mineral line. But once again, that building placement is really going to prevent that. At the same time, though, they're just going to go ahead and start working on the Stargate, with the Protoss is going to move up right now. Tickle beams going on in the Zerg's natural. Going to be able to take out that Overlord. Zealots warped in at home to try to deal with these Zerglings. The Zerglings are going to get that Stargate. Stargate goes down. Zerglings now attacking onto the Zealots. The Zealots not going to be able to clean this up too effectively. Maybe, well, they are. 2 additional Zealots warped in, but back at the Zerg's main. Yeah, back at the Zerg's main, 2 Queens are going to be able to deter the Void Rays. But here comes the main army. The Mutalisks can be able to fly in and start getting some damage. Queens from the high ground actually putting damage out on the Void Rays. They fly right into the Spore Crawlers. The Void Rays both go down. Mutalisks are going to be picking off the sentries in the back, while Queens and Spine Crawlers...
And there's the GG!
And GG. And it looks like Raxor, our good friend Angry Bubble, the Swedish Zerg, actually going to take this game.
Really, the pressure at the beginning really paid off for him. Even with camming up and everything, he really just obstructed his mineral lines, never could get that expansion out, and then chose a really bad engagement at the end, and it cost him.
Yeah, definitely. And not exactly a Grandmaster level play there, but definitely very strong play for the gold level, and a little bit stronger than the last time that I saw Bubble back at silver. So glad to see that he's making some progress, and that was fun. I enjoyed casting that replay. And so anybody else, any of my viewers that wants to send in one of their special replays, we might just choose that. And as always, if you like any of your replays casted, please get them in at reddit.com/r/castit, and we might just be casting your replays next. Once again, I've been your casting host. Joining me was Snow, and thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.